Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Dutchmen Discussions. I'm Mike Freeman, Director of Athletic Communications, and today's guest is LVC head field hockey coach Amber Corcoran. We'll be discussing the team's trip to the MAC Commonwealth Championship game in 2019, and we'll also talk about several players on the team, as well as the MAC's restructure that has brought York and Eastern into the conference. So we hope you enjoy LVC head field hockey coach Amber Corcoran. So we are now joined by Lebanon Valley field hockey coach Amber Corcoran. Amber, hello. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
So how's everything been going? How have you been?
Pretty well. Definitely an adjustment. I think figuring out a different schedule was a bit of a task a little while ago, but adjusting pretty well now. So how about you?
Me? Oh, I'm
Things
good.
been good?
Yeah, everything's been good. We're keeping busy over here, and a lot of
I
things
believe
have
it.
happened since March, but no, we're hanging in like everybody else, and we'll see how everything goes. Thanks for asking. So you guys were fortunate enough to play your entire season this past fall. You made your first MAC Commonwealth Championship in a long time, and then you also made the ECAC Championship game as well that we hosted. Can you talk through how what was different this year and what allowed you guys to have one of your best years in recent memory?
There are just so many different factors that I think go into it. Last year is definitely a huge highlight. I think it was one of my favorites coaching, to be honest with you. I think it's one thing to be back coaching at your alma mater, but this past year, the seniors who graduated, they were with me from whenever I first started coaching back at LVC. So we just immediately had that bond. We basically worked from the ground up. And this upcoming class of seniors, they've just been a very strong group since they were freshmen, and they have developed. They have a really strong sense of IQ and where each other's going to be at on the field. And I think that group that's now coming up to be seniors, they've really done a lot to change our program. And I think just last year, as our recruiting has gotten stronger, as this team has gotten closer, it was a season where all the dots just started connecting and everything just started lining up really well for us. We started off pretty slow. We took a bit to get going, but I made sure I was scheduling some harder competition in our non-conference games. And I think that really paid off into our conference games, which for the most part, they were really tight games. There were some games that, were just one goal differences. And I just think we knew we wanted to get into playoffs. And once we were there, it was just kind of this reset. Okay, how do we win the next game? And for me personally, again, with this team, there's just something special about them. There's something special about seeing them off the field and how they would just kind of interact with each other and laugh, and they get along so well. But then to see it actually translate onto the field where they're having so much fun and that competitive side really comes out in them. It was a phenomenal season. Especially, I think it was a 7-game win streak, and we haven't had that in a long time. So I found that we were just breaking down barriers after barriers after barriers. And so glad that we got into the MAC conference game this past year. That's a place that we haven't been in since 2010. So none of these girls have felt that pressure, or they've never been in that situation before. So just to be in that game, to get that experience, I think has a huge payoff going into this next season. So obviously, I can't brag about this team enough. They are just a fabulous group of girls. I love coaching them, and it makes coaching very, very easy and fun. And it just reminds me of why I love to coach so much. Like, we all love the game, and we all love being around each other.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned, I could kind of, looking from the outside in, I could see, um, you could kind of tell that it was going to be a different year. Like you said, you started off slow, but you guys were, you're in every game, and it's like, okay, when is this going to pay off? You're playing the harder competition, like you said, and then all of a sudden it just starts to click, and then you get some key goals here and there, and then defense and
Mhm.
goaltending was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And transitioning into that, Cecile gets a lot of the attention, as she should. She was the back-to-back MAC Commonwealth Offensive Player of the Year, and she was an All-American. But on the defensive side, you have Kaylee Garman last year, Alita Steenkamer, and Nikki Willi. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say that they're forgotten, but it's just like you put them out there and you don't even have to worry about them. So can you
Mm.
kind of talk about, like, I mean, they were a vital part of your success last year. So can you kind of talk about what they meant to the team?
Oh, big time. Yeah, kind of touching base on Cecile. Cecile's a fabulous forward. She does her job very well. One of the first things that she told me coming into LVC was that she loves to score goals. And, looking back now, it's like, man, do you ever? But along with Cecile, there's a lot of other players involved in this puzzle. And, we can't forget about Taylor Pence. She's kind of like, in a way, kind of a quarterback of her team, or maybe I should think more of a point guard. She has a ton of assists. Danielle Alba, she really kind of starts our offense for us. And, there's a lot of players in that offensive side that should get a lot of credit too. But in the backfield, that's a place where I can really relate to. I played defense whenever I was in college, and I don't want to say it's a thankless position, but in many ways it kind of is. Uh, I think whenever you're playing defense, if you make one mistake, sometimes that's a goal. And now the entire team has to kind of work back and try to make up for that. And, I've definitely certainly felt that pressure where if I made a mistake, how do you shake that off? And these girls, that back line, we had Alita Steenkamer, who just graduated at left back, and then the rest were all juniors. We had Nina Ward up at center back, Rachel Kegreis at right. We had Kaylee Garman at sweeper, and Nikki Willi in goal. And again, the mix of that junior class, these upcoming seniors, they just have such strong IQ. And Alita did a wonderful job leading us. That girl, man, she completely blew our program's defensive save record out of the water her entire career. Last year, she had 8 defensive saves, which is just remarkable for any defender to have. But Kaylee Garman, I think, rounded up with 4 defensive saves, which is, again, another amazing feat. Nikki Willi, not many people know, she was injured most of our season. And we got to bring in our girl Corinne Carney for some games, and it was really great seeing how well Corinne can thrive under that pressure. But Nikki, man, she loves to play, and seeing her in that goal, like, she earned that time. She deserves to be in that cage for us. And I'm just praying that we have this season this fall, because I have goosebumps thinking about it and talking about it. Like, these girls, it's just a pleasure to watch them play and how they work together. Rachel Kegreis is one that very consistent defensively, shuts down a lot of the left field attack, and she does a great job distributing up into the midfield. And then Nina Ward, she's just nonstop. Like, she will just keep on going and going and going. And she's one that I absolutely love, because us as coaches will talk about something to try in a game, and it's within like the next play, wherever Nina is, like, she's there trying it. And like, her first touch through the ball, her ability to just make an adjustment and then find a new gap to send the ball through. It's just, these girls, I feel like they listen and they want to learn, and to see them actually try and do things, it's so, I guess, just satisfying as a coach to see them come together and work so hard together. And again, I think a lot of that comes from off the field play. These girls are so close with each other that it's very easy whenever it comes on the field for them. And I think there's one thing that really unites them all. They're such high achievers. So kind of reminding them to not worry about making mistakes. Like, not everything's going to be perfect. But man, do they want to be perfect? It's something that I think every coach wants in their players, just that drive to do and play as best as you can every game.
Yeah, I can recall at least a few occasions where, at home at least, where um, Nikki would save it. It would go to somebody in the backfield. There'd be two passes, one up the midfield, Cecile or Taylor to Cecile, and then we'd score. It happened at least like 4 or 5 times. So
Oh yeah,
it's
it's great.
you don't even think about how difficult that is, though. It's just like, oh wow, we just scored 10 seconds later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're a very big passing team. Like we're really big with passing. I think once we get up to the forward line, then we start seeing our dribbling come out a lot more. But these girls and connecting, we try to find the opportunities to get the ball up the field. Like let's not play around with it, just get the ball up the field. And then it becomes a matter of supporting each other. And that was something I think that really paid off for us last year. We really worked hard on finding out how the forwards can work back to support our midfielders and our defenders. And likewise, those defenders had to push up and really help support our forwards and our midfielders. We want to win that ball as high up in that field as we possibly can instead of letting it work all the way back to our circle. So I think there was a couple team tactics in there that we really focused on, and it had incredible payoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So because of the pandemic, has recruiting changed at all for you? And what is your incoming class? What do they look like for this year?
Yeah, so I'm actually very happy that we had a lot of our girls, if not committed, pretty much right there, ready to commit in that mid-March time whenever we all came home. So we actually have 12 girls coming in next year, which is a very large number. But part of that is I know how strong of a senior leadership that we have coming up. Pretty much our entire backfield is a line of juniors, now going to be seniors. So just really tried to recruit heavy and make sure that this upcoming group, I think there's some that have a very great opportunity to step in and play right away, if not get significant playing time. But, as a coach, I'm thinking not just 1 year ahead, it's always like 3-4 years ahead. And what does that look like? And I try to invest very heavy in my players. I want each of them to feel like they have an opportunity to play. But with that, it takes some development. So this upcoming group, I think they understand how large of a team that we're going to have next year. I think at the same time, they understand like we all want to play. And I'm going to try to do everything that I can to make that a reality for them. With the 2021s, this was an extremely difficult year to recruit. As we were entering into our spring season, that's when we usually have a lot of overnight visits. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of those. So luckily, we're allowed to have recruits back on campus. And I'm starting to get girls on the calendar and really looking forward to walking them around campus and, just trying to keep in touch as best as I can. This has been a really chaotic time, but I think for the most part, everybody's just been adjusting so well and taking things as they come and just really staying positive. And I think hearing that from a lot of these 2021 recruits that I've been talking to, it's just that characteristic. I want somebody that's going to stay positive, and when the going gets tough, are they going to keep working, or are they going to fade back? And luckily these girls, they're pushing through and they're finding a way to adapt. And I think it's a very amazing thing to see, and something that I think it's a trait to be excited for with this next group. I think if they can deal with this adversity, they're going to be able to handle a lot of other challenges along the way.
Yeah, like you said, everybody's in the same boat about this, and it's all the players that you recruit, it's reflection upon you, and it's always I've told that to Don, the head men's ice hockey coach too, that they all come up to me and say hi, how are you doing, and can I help you, and all that stuff. So it's really cool. They're student athletes, but they're also good people as well,
Oh yeah.
which is something you probably appreciate and something that we really appreciate as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the best thing about our program that kind of makes us a little different, and what I do personally as a coach is I want to give my girls as much leadership as they possibly can have. I want to involve them on decisions that we make. And I think that's another big thing, or another big reason why we were so successful last year. We had girls that just played different roles on our team. And in many ways, each one, left their mark. And it's amazing to me. Coaches and players aren't always going to agree, but we need to have that conversation. And it's throughout those conversations I get to see and understand their perspectives. And then likewise, then we can kind of apply what I'm seeing and what my perspective is. So it's almost not like their way or my way. It's kind of this really neat intersection of all these ideas. And I think that's really what's making our team stand out.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. I can attest to that. Okay, one more question. So the MAC kind of restructured a little bit. LICO and Arcadia went to the Freedom, and Eastern came from the Freedom, and York came from the CAC, and they're now in the MAC Commonwealth. So how does that affect you guys now?
Yeah, so I think the oddest change is that our playoff schedule is going to become a 5-team schedule versus a 4-team schedule. So I think that's one adjustment that will be a little different. Losing Arcadia was always tough competition for us. It's just they always showed up with their best game, and it is a shame to lose them. Hopefully we can keep playing them in the future, but bringing in York and bringing in Eastern, I think it's great to have new blood. I think it's good to shake things up a little bit. Eastern, they were a strong program, and I know York, man, they're up and coming. So it is, I don't even say up and coming. They've been doing a great job. These teams, I'm really looking forward to, again, seeing, I guess, this new challenge come our way and seeing how we deal with it. We talk to these girls a lot about making sure we're taking games one step at a time. Like, of course, we want to get to the playoffs. We want to be in that championship game. But if we keep focusing on that result, you're going to forget the journey along the way. And the journey is what gets you there. So, I'm excited to have some different teams now and, have, I guess, just more relationships with these teams. I think as a MAC conference, all the coaches, we get along very well, and it's just very nice to have that supportive network, but then that competitive side on the field. So I'm excited to bring them in. I think it's going to be more games for our girls. So you can be upset about that.
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting year, and I'm really excited. I hope it all works out for everybody's sake. Well, hey, Amber, thanks a lot for coming on. It's good to see you, and I hope everything's well, and let's hope we can get back to LVC really soon.
Same. I miss you, and I miss all of our coworkers.
I know. Me too. Hey, thanks again. We appreciate it.
All right. See ya, Mike.
Bye. Thank you to Amber Corcoran for joining us on episode 4 of the Dutchmen Discussions. We hope you tune in next time for episode 5. Thanks to everyone for watching, and go Dutchmen.